Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you enjoy yourself.
This is a story of a town which awakens to accept their mistakes as a human quality and not as guilt, and consequently learns to boldly live with their imperfections. In the town of Damora, nestled between misty mountains and a winding silver river, there was a strange custom. Whenever someone made a mistake, they could visit a man known as the Shadow Collector. The Shadow Collector was an old, mysterious figure who lived in a towering, ivy-covered house at the town's edge. He promised people relief from their guilt by taking their shadows, which he stored in delicate glass jars. With their shadows gone, they no longer felt the weight of their mistakes. At first, it seemed like a blessing. But there was something eerie about the people who left the Shadow Collector's house. They walked lighter, smiled easier, but there was an emptiness in their eyes. Tina, a young girl with a heart full of curiosity, had always been cautious about mistakes. She had heard of the Shadow Collector but never sought him out. One day, she knocked over an old woman's basket at the market, spilling apples into the dirt. "I'm so sorry," Tina said, rushing to help. The woman waved her away with a sigh. "It's all right, child. But if this mistake burdens you, the Shadow Collector can help." Tina hesitated. Did she really need to forget something so small? But the idea intrigued her, and so, she made her way to the old house. Inside, the Shadow Collector stood among shelves of glowing jars, each containing a swirling, dark mist, the shadows of those who had given them up. "You wish to be free of your mistake?" he asked in a voice that was both soothing and unsettling. Tina nodded. The Shadow Collector reached out, and she felt a strange pull, like something deep inside her was being unraveled. She gasped as her shadow detached from her feet and twisted into a cloud of darkness before settling inside a glass jar. At first, she felt lighter, as if the weight of her mistake had truly vanished. Days passed, and Tina noticed something odd. She no longer remembered why she had been sorry in the first place. More strangely, she began seeing the shadowless people of Damora, merchants, bakers, even children, who laughed and spoke without hesitation, but their words felt hollow. She watched as a young man tripped and knocked over a cart of bread. Instead of apologizing, he grinned, shrugged, and walked away. Something was terribly wrong. One evening, Tina sat by the river, watching the golden sunset reflect in the water. As she leaned forward, she saw her reflection, but without a shadow. A thought struck her. If she had no shadow, did that mean she had no past? No mistakes to learn from? Determined to know the truth, she returned to the Shadow Collector's house. "I want my shadow back," she said. The Shadow Collector chuckled. "Once given, a shadow cannot be returned. What has been forgotten stays forgotten." Tina's heart pounded. "But I feel incomplete." "That is the price of peace," he said, waving a hand over his collection. "A life without regrets." Tina stared at the glowing jars, each holding someone's lost mistakes. But were they truly free? Or just lost? She noticed a single, dusty jar on a high shelf. Unlike the others, its shadow pulsed with color, as if alive. She reached for it, but the Shadow Collector's hand closed around her wrist. "That one does not belong to you," he said, his voice sharper now. "Then whose is it?" she asked. The Shadow Collector's expression darkened. "Mine." Tina's eyes widened. You gave up your own shadow? The old man hesitated, then sighed. I was the first to walk this path. I thought by removing my regrets, I would be wiser. Instead, I forgot the meaning of mistakes altogether. Tina realized the truth. Without his own shadow, the shadow collector was cursed to live in endless detachment, unable to truly understand the consequences of his actions. Taking a deep breath, Tina grabbed her own jar and smashed it to the floor. Her shadow swirled and rushed back to her, filling her with all the emotions she had forgotten: shame, regret, but also the strength to do better. Other villagers entered and saw what she had done. One by one, they shattered their own jars, reclaiming their lost mistakes. They gasped as they remembered the lessons they had ignored. The shadow collector, watching it all unfold, reached for his own jar. His fingers trembled. Could he bear to remember? With a deep sigh, he let it fall. His shadow merged back with him, and for the first time in years, he looked truly human. A tear rolled down his cheek. I remember, he whispered. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that mistakes are not burdens to be erased, but lessons to be learned. Regret is not a curse, it is a teacher. A world without mistakes is a world without growth. True wisdom comes from facing our past, not forgetting it. At first glance, the shadow collector's offer seems like a gift. Who wouldn't want to erase their mistakes and live without regret? But what the people of Damora fail to realize is that mistakes are not meant to be discarded, they are meant to be understood, learned from, and used to grow. Mistakes are often seen as failures, but in reality, they are the stepping stones of wisdom. A child who never falls while learning to walk never learns how to balance. A student who never makes an error never understands how to correct one. By giving up their shadows, their past missteps, the villagers of Damora lost something far greater than their guilt. They lost the opportunity to grow. The shadow collector himself serves as a warning of what happens when we refuse to acknowledge our past. Without his own mistakes to reflect on, he became disconnected from life itself, unable to feel true remorse or true joy. He existed, but he did not truly live. Tina's realization represents a crucial truth. Embracing our mistakes is not about dwelling on them, but using them to shape who we become. The discomfort of regret pushes us to make better choices in the future. By reclaiming their shadows, the people of Damora accepted responsibility for their past, and in doing so, they regained their ability to grow, to change, and to truly live. A world without mistakes may seem perfect, but it is lifeless. Growth comes from experience, and experience includes failure. True wisdom is not found in avoiding errors, but in learning from them.
Thanks for watching and enjoying our inspiring videos. If you like our stories, do pool in your likes and wonderful comments about your views. Also, don't forget to subscribe now for more interesting content. Have a nice day. Let's meet again soon. Take care.